Taylor, I've been here since 10 a.m. this morning, and before we even found out there were human remains inside this funeral home, you could just smell it in the air. At this space right here was Gonzalez's bedroom. As you can see right here, this is actually her bed that still lies on the ground today. Salida is a town that has a population of just under 6,000 people. So while this case of Suzanne Morphew got national and even world attention, the emotions here in Salida run deeper than words can describe. The prosecutor and both of Gannon's parents gave a reaction to today's verdict. Now, for people driving northbound on I-25, what once was a nostalgic Sunbird restaurant sign that they would see every day is now no more. He walked on this stage as Yemi Mobolade and walked off as the 42nd mayor of Colorado Springs. He says he is ready to go to work. Sand Creek High School students say they are fed up with the thoughts and prayers. Today they walked out of class protesting gun violence and advocating for change. The Fremont County Sheriff's Office says they do not have the budget to do animal impounds anymore. Meanwhile, the Humane Society says they can't take in impounds without their funding. If you own a phone, chances are you've received one of these. But what many people don't know is that most spam calls are against the law.
Fox 21's investigative reporter Rhea Jha tells us about these issues.
Amidst numerous accusations of attorney misconduct, case dismissals, and reduced charges for felons, 11th Judicial District Attorney Linda Stanley hasn't spoken to the media since August of 2021.
I think it's very important to set the record straight.
Stanley brought me into her Canyon City office to break her silence.
Prosecutions shouldn't be political.
Fox 21 obtained more than 20 maintenance reports filed by employees in a 2-week time period. This drive-by shooting actually happened more than a week ago, and typically Pueblo Police Department will send out information about a shooting or possible homicide investigation the day of, or at the latest a few days after the incident. After numerous community calls and tips, no word from law enforcement, I looked into the incident myself. That is the sound of Martinez's family screaming in horror.
I remember my brother saying that I would scream and then I would pass out, wake up, scream, and then keep continuing that. And then that's when I thought my life was just gonna end with her on the floor.
Good morning, Rhea.
Good morning. On Tuesday, Joe Maldonado, the former zookeeper and Tiger King star known as Joe Exotic, called me from the state federal prison in Fort Worth, Texas, to talk about his 2024 presidential campaign.
I'm throwing my hat in the race.
How do you plan on running your campaign from prison?
It's difficult, okay? I'm not going to lie to you.
Julie Musili zipping open a tarp into what used to be her living room.
When you're dealing with toxic mold.
Charges filed by 9 former and current employees say it was a night of heavy drinking, encouraged and paid for by the company's CEO at the time, Steve Schaefer, and a senior physician who was not named in the complaints.
My colleague came to me on December 24th on Christmas Eve and told me that she had been sexually assaulted.
The trial of 44-year-old Ryan Sabin, accused of murdering his 11-year-old son Zachary in March of 2020, officially began. It's now been 2 weeks since the layoff announcement, and employees say QC still hasn't paid them for their final weeks of work, which is a felony under Colorado law if the amount is greater than $2,000. Now a memorial of 3 crosses sits on North Purcell Boulevard, where shards of glass and car parts are still visible.
We were talking about what we were going to do for Labor Day. Are we ready for the carne asada? We didn't know we were going to be doing this for Labor Day.
Instead of figuring out who was making the carne asada, family members spent their Labor Day setting up a memorial. She then went to the regional human resources director to report that interaction. Fox 21 obtained a recording of that February meeting.
I've been on absolute fear mode. My hands shake when I talk about it. She came into the office, shut the door, and told me that people are going to be fired and written up for corroboration, interrogation, and stealing company time. And I'm feeling like I'm going to pass out in fear of I've not done anything wrong.
A Colorado security company is putting their own employees in harm's way. That's what local workers with Denver Metro Protective Services are now claiming.
They say the vehicles used to transport inmates are unsafe to drive, and despite numerous reports, they say the company is not willing to fix them.
Fox 21's investigative reporter Rhea Jha tells us about these issues.
Yeah, Scott and Taylor. So after speaking with 6 current and former employees, they told me that they filed complaints like being stranded on the side of the road with inmates in the car. The faces of current employees who spoke with us have been blurred to remain anonymous.
We're always wondering if our vehicle's going to break down or catch on fire because of some little mechanical issue that's just not right or safe.
Employees with Denver Metro Protective Services in Colorado Springs fear for their life because of vehicle issues they say the company will not fix.
I have broken down on the side of the road in vehicles with an inmate in the back. It's happened so many times. So many times.
Fox 21 obtained more than 20 maintenance reports filed by employees in a 2-week time period, detailing everything from common service issues like check engine lights, low tire pressure, and expired tags as old as 2020.
They called it the Christmas tree because of every single light being on in there. And they said, oh no, they're just like that. They're supposed to be like that. The lights are malfunctioning.
Other reports include more severe problems like brakes not working and vehicles stopping in the middle of the road.
We had a female that was transporting in that van and she went over a speed bump and the window completely fell in.
Along with the safety issues, the passengers are inmates.
My main concern for driving these vehicles in their condition is the fact that not only DOC staff knows or has knowledge of the condition of our vehicles, but the inmates also have that knowledge.
Employees say the company would either fix the issue using parts from an old car that sits in their garage.
So instead of them actually paying for the services, they're telling him to go in and repair these vehicles with whatever other parts that you could possibly utilize from another vehicle.
Or wouldn't fix it at all, but still force employees to drive these cars and even discipline ones who refuse to drive them.
I refuse to drive the van for my safety and the inmate's safety and the public safety. I was written up and given points for canceling that transport.
Fox 21 reached out to Denver Metro Protective Services, who in a statement said in part, quote, "The safety of our employees is a paramount concern every single day. Within DPMS, we ensure that no vehicle is allowed to be on the road if any unsafe condition exists."
When you do somebody wrong so many times, and it's not just one person, 2 person, 3 people, it's everybody. Somebody has to speak up for those people.
For the full statement from Denver Metro Protection Services, head over to our website, fox21news.com. Scott and Taylor, back to you.
And allegations of sexual assault and a history of harassment at a Colorado Springs rehabilitation center. 9
current and former employees at Encompass Health Rehabilitation Hospitals are now coming forward with accusations that the former CEO of the company allowed these actions to continue for almost a decade.
Fox 21's investigative reporter Rhea Jha spoke with the women on why they're talking about this now.
Encompass Health is a leading chain of rehab hospitals in the U.S., which helps patients recover from life-threatening injuries. The charges from the 9 women who have come forward specifically surround the actions of a doctor who allegedly engaged in sexual harassment of female staff. I spoke with 2 of the women who filed these charges, whose faces and voices have been altered to safeguard them from retaliation. In December 2022, Encompass Health held its annual Christmas party at Phantom Canyon Brewery in downtown Colorado Springs. Charges filed by 9 former and current employees say it was a night of heavy drinking, encouraged and paid for by the company's CEO at the time, Steve Schaefer, and a senior physician who was not named in the complaints.
My colleague came to me on December 24th on Christmas Eve and told me that she had been sexually assaulted after the Encompass Health Christmas party by this provider who was sexually harassing women.
According to the charges, that night, one employee was so intoxicated she could barely walk. She alleges that the senior physician took her home and sexually assaulted her.
Encompass Health knew very well that this provider had been sexually harassing my colleagues for years. And they had an obligation to address that far sooner than they were willing to, and they failed to do that.
That employee filed a complaint with HR stating what happened and left the company soon after, but that doctor retained his position. Soon, another employee started working closely with him and claims the pattern continued.
It was a terrifying prospect that part of my role at Encompass Health was going to be that I was now forced to work with someone that was widely known to be a sexual predator. And I knew that on a daily basis, myself and my colleagues were actually in danger.
Other women also made complaints about their own experiences of being sexually harassed by the same senior physician.
My colleagues were being touched by him inappropriately at work.
They say even his conversations were inappropriate.
He would lean forward and say, "Are you in an open relationship? Or if we had sex, it would be rough, right?"
What did the CEO say to the women who did refuse to work with the provider?
If women didn't want to work with this provider, then they should just find a different job. That goes back to speaking more of like the culture that's been created from the top down. One of the women had a psychotic break. That was, I think, for me, the turning point of realizing Encompass was forgetting that we were people.
In a statement from Encompass Health, the doctor in question is no longer providing patient care at the hospital, and the CEO is no longer with the company. They also stated they take allegations seriously, and they addressed the improper conduct last December. In the meantime, the years of harassment has come at a high cost to employees who are waiting for the EEOC investigation to conclude. Their attorneys have confirmed they do plan on filing a lawsuit.
For the first time now in almost 2 years, the DA who brought charges against Barry Morphew is talking publicly now to Fox 21 after allegations from the public and leaders in Fremont, Custer Park, and Chaffee counties who said that 11th Judicial DA Linda Stanley has not been doing her job.
In an exclusive interview, Fox 21's Rhea Jha sat down with the DA, who says she wants to set the record straight.
Amidst numerous accusations of attorney misconduct, case dismissals, and reduced charges for felons, 11th Judicial District Attorney Linda Stanley hasn't spoken to the media since August of 2021.
I think it's very important to set the record straight.
Stanley brought me into her Canyon City office to break her silence.
Prosecutions shouldn't be political, and that means it shouldn't be coming from law enforcement or from the district attorney's office.
The Fremont County Sheriff says Stanley's office has had 995 cases dismissed during her 2-year term, and community members are concerned.
We have murders that are being discharged, dismissed, whatever. The victims are suffering.
These cases include felonies like murders, sexual assault on a child, and kidnapping.
I've been doing this work a long time, and I can tell you that I'm seeing cases dismissed that other prosecutors could have won.
Stanley says these numbers are skewed.
Does that sound even remotely correct?
No. They're not real numbers.
Fox 21 started digging into the number that law enforcement officials have been citing to the media. We found out that there were 995 cases dismissed, but the Fremont County Sheriff's Office confirmed that around half of them were not filed during Stanley's term.
Unless you're looking at every case and why it was dismissed, it's completely inappropriate and inaccurate to say this is our number of dismissals and therefore we're doing a horrible job.
Some dismissals and charge reductions occur when a prosecutor commits a discovery violation by failing to disclose evidence or witnesses, something that attorneys and judges allege Stanley's office has a pattern of. In a 21-page order earlier this year, Fremont County Judge Caitlin Turner listed over 20 cases from the last 2 years with discovery violations by Stanley's office. In April, one of these cases led Judge Turner to sanction the district attorney. In that case, the person charged with first-degree murder got away with a reduced charge due to lack of evidence from Stanley's office.
This has nothing to do with politics. This has to do with the district attorney not doing the job that she should be doing in these 4 counties.
Stanley appealed the sanction, saying her office would never willfully withhold evidence. However, the Colorado Attorney Regulation Council is actively investigating Stanley's office for attorney misconduct, following a complaint that also alleges a continued pattern of discovery violations. This complaint came after charges were dismissed in the closely followed case against Barry Morphew, a Chaffee County man accused of killing his wife.
Do you think you have a pattern of discovery violations?
Absolutely not. They're not going to find anything. It's a witch hunt, in my opinion.
Stanley says it has been difficult to remain silent through the allegations.
I stand up for people all the time, every day. So me not being able to stand up for myself was difficult.
Reporting in Canyon City, Rhea Jha, Fox 21 News.